What if I told you could cross an entire ocean, visit exotic islands along the way, and luxuriously live and dine on a cruise ship for nearly 4 weeks, all for less than what you would otherwise pay to stay and eat in the absolute cheapest hotels in most major cities? Well, I recently sailed across the mighty Pacific, all the way from Seattle to Sydney, on Princess Cruises' decade-old Royal Princess. I booked this voyage 1 week before departure, and as a solo traveler, the entire 26-night cruise cost me just over $1,000, taxes and fees included. This 9,000-mile crossing was both extraordinary and an exceptional bargain. And in this video, I'll share my remarkable experiences on the ship, our beautiful ports of call along the way, and my overall thoughts on living at sea for nearly a month. Stay tuned until the end because I'll also explain how I nailed such an amazing cruise deal. And of course, I'll give you my top tips for finding your own luxurious oceanic adventures for ridiculously low fares. My name is Nate, and let's jump right into the details of this epic transpacific journey. First off, let's discuss the unique route of my one-way trip. Several times a year, cruise lines relocate many of their ships to offer sailings in the most popular regions during the best seasons, from a weather and business perspective. From September to October, a number of large cruise ships transition from Alaska and USA West Coast itineraries to New Zealand, Australia, South Pacific, and Southeast Asia itineraries. And from November to December, select ships migrate from the Mediterranean to the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. These ships then make crossings in the opposite direction half a year later. In the industry, these special trips are called repositioning cruises, and my 26-night sailing from Seattle, USA to Sydney, Australia is a perfect example of such a cruise. While traversing the Pacific Ocean with near week-long periods of non-stop sea days, our itinerary had multiple ports of call along the way, including 2 stops in Hawaii, 2 stops in French Polynesia, and 3 stops in New Zealand. On the day of departure, I arrived at the port around 4 hours before the cutoff time. Checking in at Seattle's Pier 91 cruise terminal was a breeze. I had already completed online immigration forms and paid mandatory entry fees for New Zealand and Australia, and I had been given clearances to enter both countries in the form of emails and application status updates. So, simply showing my passport at check-in was all that was needed. Sailing out of Seattle on Puget Sound that afternoon was magnificent, and something I had wanted to experience for years. I hoped I'd catch a glimpse of some orcas gracefully breaching the surface nearby. Though I didn't see any, I was treated to terrific views of downtown Seattle, expansive forests, and the San Juan Islands. From this point onwards, we'd be covering over 9,000 miles, crossing both the equator and the international dateline, and transitioning from autumn in North America to spring in New Zealand and Australia. Now, I won't do a day-by-day recap. That would take way too long, so for this overview, let's jump right to the highlight of the journey: the ship. Completed in 2013, the Royal Princess is Princess Cruises' first Royal-class ship. Before entering service, she was christened by Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, in Southampton, England. You can see pictures and mementos from the event near the guest services desk on Deck 5. The ship is 330 meters long, 38.4 meters wide, and 66 meters high. She's big, but by no means the biggest. The Royal Princess is actually classified as a mid-sized ship and barely makes the list of the world's top 50 in terms of gross tonnage. Nonetheless, with her 18 decks, the Royal is capable of comfortably carrying well over 5,000 guests and crew. Despite some noticeable maintenance issues and minor wear and tear around the ship, the public spaces on board are, without a doubt, immaculate and impressive. The piazza serves as the centrally located heart of the Royal Princess and extends from Deck 5 to Deck 7. There are workout and dance classes here, as well as live music and dazzling evening events. Surrounding the piazza are several cozy spaces to grab a bite to eat and a few drinks. In fact, there are about 24 bars and restaurants scattered around the vessel, but we'll focus on the extensive food and beverage offerings in just a bit. In terms of entertainment, there are 3 dedicated performance venues: the Princess Theater, Princess Live, and the Vista Lounge. all of which are beautifully designed and comfortable. There are plenty of glitzy duty-free shops on board featuring a variety of world-renowned luxury brands. And there's even this large store with Princess-branded souvenirs, model ships, clothing, stuffed animals, and all sorts of neat goodies to take home. Steps away, guests can browse the onboard gallery and shop for art, like these famous pieces done by Thomas Kincaid, and they can learn about the fascinating world of art collecting through presentations, auctions, and showcases. One deck below is the casino, which features a multitude of modern slot machines and card tables stretching the width of the ship. Just beyond the casino entrance is the photo gallery. Here, guests can purchase prints taken by professional princess photographers. On Deck 5, just beyond the guest services and shore excursions desk, you come across the Lotus Spa with a wide array of premium services that are not included in the cruise fare. Here, you can pamper yourself with a rejuvenating facial, body scrub, or stone massage, wade into an exclusive thermal pool, or try out one of 3 heated detox chambers. Moving on, the Royal Princess offers childcare facilities and teen zones, a pay-to-use premium zone called the Sanctuary at the front of the ship, future cruise booking office with exclusive direct booking discounts, internet lounge with computers and printers, mini arcade, looped running track, outdoor sports facility, miniature golf putting zone, and a large fitness center with plenty of treadmills, weights, and workout machines, plus a dedicated studio for yoga and various fitness classes. Along the top portion of the ship, there are 3 pools and 6 hot tubs, plus loads of outdoor space for socializing, eating, relaxing, sunbathing, and soaking up the elevated views all around. This noteworthy feature on the Royal Princess is the Skywalk, and it has stunning curved walkways on 2 levels that jut out over the side of the ship. There are glass panels built into the floor on the lower level, allowing guests to peer all the way down to Deck 7 and the ocean waves below. During my time on board, I loved coming out on this platform time and again, especially for dramatic sunsets and slow sailaways. One of the best aspects of any cruise is the plentiful supply of food and beverages on board, and the Royal Princess is no exception. It's not just about the quantity of food, but it's also the quality, variety, availability, convenience, and impressive layout of options all over the ship. According to the official Royal Princess list, there are a total of 26 venues on board, serving meals, snacks, desserts, or beverages. The cruise fare includes a handful of options for all guests. There are 3 main dining rooms with both flexible dining and reserved dining for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And a la carte menus are rotated each day, allowing for exciting culinary explorations and destination-specific dishes. I found most of the food served here to be delicious and satisfying, and the freedom I had to order several appetizers, main courses, or desserts of my choosing was a huge bonus. The International Cafe on Deck 5 is also included in the cruise fare, and a rotating selection of snacks, pastries, sandwiches, soups, and desserts is available 24 hours a day. On the pool deck, there are no additional charges for the pizzeria, the grill, or the soft-serve ice cream bar. During my sailing, both the grill and pizzeria were quite good, though I found the quality of the pizza here to be tremendously inconsistent. At one point, I was served a slice I couldn't finish because it was burnt on the bottom and tasted like a barbecued cracker. On the upside, I was pleasantly surprised by the gigantic spread and overall quality of food in the Horizon Court, which is the main buffet-style dining area on the Royal Princess. Here, there are rows upon rows of freshly prepared dishes from all over the world, including Western favorites, Greek wraps, Mexican tacos and nachos, pastas, sandwiches, Indian curries, Filipino-style meats, salads, fruits, sushi bowls, ramen noodles, and so much more. Let's not get started on the dessert buffet, which has cookies, cakes, cobblers, and countless other sweet goodies. The buffet staff changed stations from sunup to sundown to go with each meal of the day, and I was certainly impressed with the diversity and taste of almost everything I tried. The hardest part was choosing what to put on my plate at each meal. As for drinks on Princess, filtered water, lemonade, iced tea, brewed coffee, and basic teas are included in the cruise fare, as are juices and smoothies in the buffet during breakfast. All other premium coffees, teas, sodas, mocktails, and alcoholic beverages come with additional charges. Though I had no need to go beyond the included dining options, the specialty a la carte dining venues on the ship are plentiful, and well worth a try for those willing to splurge or purchase a dining package. The onboard gelateria, for example, is a perfect place to grab a few creamy cold scoops after lunch or dinner. Alright, enough on the food, though I did end up going into the buffet one too many times, but anyway, there is much more to do on the ship than feast and drink. Let's talk activities and entertainment. There is a lot to keep guests busy on board, and if you'd like a comprehensive overview, here are a few of the daily forms I received on my cruise with the complete Princess event listings. You'll see there's everything from organized sports, trivia, dancing, and live music performances to main stage production shows, game shows, karaoke, complimentary fitness and spa consultations, destination presentations, and enrichment talks. On my voyage, the performances in the theaters were mostly average to very good. I will honestly say that, with a few exceptions, the guest comedians on board could have been much better. And for the theatrical productions, I would have preferred full dramas or Broadway-style musicals with a complete cohesive story, rather than traditional music reviews or loose cross-decade compilations. That aside, the professional singers and dancers were tremendously talented, and several of them were kind enough to do a Q&A session and a backstage tour at one point during the cruise. It was amazing to learn about the logistics, training, wardrobe, and facilities required to put on 45-minute productions at sea. The best onstage presentations, in my opinion, were the enrichment talks hosted by the ship's naturalist, Robert Raincock. In short, this guy was awesome, and apart from putting on stellar educational shows and organizing informal astrophotography gatherings at night, he made a point to interact with hundreds, if not thousands, of passengers around the ship. In fact, many of the shots you're watching now were stabilized using one of Rob's gimbals, and he kindly let me borrow one of his telephoto lenses to take pictures of the Moon, Saturn, and Jupiter. So, massive thanks, Rob. You know, we haven't had a look at my room on the Royal yet, so let's do that now. To access my deluxe balcony stateroom, I used what is called the Princess Medallion, which I received at check-in. The medallion serves as an all-in-one keycard, payment device linked to my onboard credit account and thus my credit card, and security ID. Normally, I simply had to approach the entrance to my stateroom with the medallion in my pocket, and my door would automatically unlock. My home at sea was clean, cozy, and wonderful. During the first half of the cruise, I had issues with construction noise nearby, the balcony door, and balcony separator, but these problems were eventually resolved and didn't become deal breakers. I had plenty of space as a solo traveler. The large bed was super cushy and comfortable, and I had easy access to the light switches. Next to my bed, I had a sofa, coffee table, mini fridge, chair, and desk. The furniture had plenty of drawers and storage, and I even had this dedicated wardrobe area with loads of space for clothes, suitcases, bags, or any other items. The bathroom was simple yet practical, with ample space for all my toiletries. The shower was admittedly small, but fortunately, there were complimentary Lotus Spa soaps and shampoo, as well as consistent hot water. Back in the bedroom, plug sockets were limited, but enough for my laptop and cell phone chargers. I loved having multiple lights and lamps available for customizing the mood and brightness level throughout the day. As for my balcony, this was the biggest surprise by far. Even though it was classified as obstructed due to the steel barrier, it was at least double the size of a standard balcony and offered arguably better views than most, since I could lean out and see more than 180 degrees of our ship's surroundings. Here is the starboard side, or the right side of the Royal Princess, and here is my balcony, which is just underneath the bridge. Isn't that spectacular? I was able to comfortably stretch, exercise, and lay out on that deck with space to spare. What makes all of this even better is the fact that I didn't even book the stateroom. Several days before departure, I received an email from Princess saying that I'd been given a complimentary upgrade from the basic windowless cabin I had originally been assigned. My guess is that because of my last-minute booking, the length of the cruise, and logistical reasons, I had been given a rare bump in the system. Whatever the reason, I felt tremendously grateful for getting such a terrific living space. Here's another bonus. Princess Cruises sets itself apart from most mainstream lines by offering self-service laundry rooms. For a 26-night cruise, this one perk saved me so much money. I brought my own detergent packets, so per load, I only had to pay $3 for washing and $3 for drying. Several irons were also available free of charge. This machine here is where I paid with my medallion for laundry tokens, which are needed to start the washers and dryers. Interestingly, when the token machine stopped working, I was given free tokens at the guest services desk. For comparison, Royal Caribbean ships offer no self-service laundromats and instead charge over $30 per bag for washing and folding. Obviously, with such a long ocean crossing involving near week-long stints at sea, getting off the ship at each port of call along the way helped keep our seafaring group excited, active, and sane. The first stop after leaving Seattle was Honolulu, which marked my first visit ever to the Hawaiian Islands. I walked throughout the city, toured part of the Capitol building, and trekked for miles near the picturesque shoreline. I would have given surfing another go had I stayed longer. The beaches and natural surroundings are postcard perfect. The following day, we anchored off the coast of Kona on the island of Hawaii and took tender boats to shore, which by itself was a cool experience, offering great views of the ship and surroundings. I once again did a long walking tour of the area and eventually found this idyllic rocky beach just to the north of the Royal Princess. I crept around pools and boulders, taking photos of the waves crashing against the dark volcanic rock. That afternoon, we all returned to the ship and kicked off another 6-day trek further across the world's largest ocean. The French Polynesian islands of Moorea and Tahiti were our next stops, and fortunately, we had 2 full days in the capital city, Papeete. All I have to say is that I'm now determined to go back and properly explore this wondrous archipelago situated in the middle of the Pacific. The dramatic topography is astonishing, and I thoroughly enjoyed spending several days hiking well over 20 miles across serene countryside, fields, lush hills, quaint farmland, and endless tropical forests. Moorea was my favorite island of the two, as it was less touristy and less populated. And on top of offering a ton of beaches and trails, it had a wild and mysterious Jurassic Park vibe to it. Additionally, there were markets showcasing the handiwork of the locals. Next to the pier where the tender boats docked, vendors were selling all sorts of beautifully crafted souvenirs, clothing, and jewelry. In Tahiti, I found the marina, waterfront park, and downtown area to be colorful, intriguing, and very French with a tropical twist. On my next visit, I will definitely have to devote several days to seeing more of the island. Following another long stint at sea, we found ourselves in Tauranga on the North Island of New Zealand. One of many things I adore about this country is the dedication to creating and maintaining vast networks of trail systems, walkways, and bike paths, especially in the local and national parks. Tauranga's Mount Maunganui is an ancient lava dome and protected nature reserve with tremendous views of the whole region. And I easily found hiking routes up, down, and all around what the locals simply call the Mount. Sheep fed on grass along the hillside, clouds formed close to the summit, and seabirds rested in giant trees above a seashore covered in shells. It was a calming and blissful walking tour that ended all too soon along Maunganui's popular long white sand beach. 14 hours later, we docked in downtown Auckland, New Zealand's largest city. The weather couldn't have been better, so I made the most of it and walked throughout the city, covering 10 miles or so. The highlights were the Auckland Domain, a large public park just to the south of the financial district, and Mount Eden, which offers some of the absolute best views of the entire metropolitan area. I would have stayed for sunset, but I had to book it back to the ship. I arrived on board with minutes to spare before the cutoff time. I was then treated to this breathtaking evening sail away out of Auckland. Just wow. The next morning, we arrived in the Bay of Islands under cloudy skies. Tender boats carried us to the pier in Waitangi, the historic heart of New Zealand. It didn't take long for me to find this hiking trail, and it led me through awe-inspiring forests, mangroves, and quiet coastal areas. I was fascinated by the details and rich colors of the vegetation all around, and apparently, the land is a protected refuge for kiwi birds. They're elusive creatures though, so I unfortunately didn't spot any. After crossing the notoriously rough Tasman Sea, we concluded our epic Pacific crossing with an early morning arrival in Sydney. Simply put, it was unreal and easily one of the best moments of the entire cruise. As we slowly pulled into port at Circular Quay with these terrific views of the Sydney Opera House and city skyline, the Royal Princess Cruise served champagne to commemorate our ship's first ever visit to Sydney. As I witnessed the sunrise behind Sydney's iconic landmark, I thought how perfect of a finale this was for such a memorable, one-of-a-kind journey. For me, living at sea for nearly 4 weeks was no issue at all. Rather, I quite enjoyed getting into a routine and having a healthy mix of time to myself, as well as fun and meaningful interactions with fellow travelers on the ship. Unlike most shorter cruises, I really had a chance to connect with new friends and a number of the crew. As I mentioned before, there was no shortage of food, activities, and entertainment on the Royal. So many nights I went to bed surprised at how quickly the days were passing by. That said, being out on the high seas does have its challenges. Seasickness was my biggest concern, so I ended up taking motion sickness medication prior to going through any storms or whenever I felt the slightest bit of dizziness or nausea from the motion of the ocean. I must mention here that I was pleasantly surprised at the number of sunny and smooth days we had. Nonetheless, there were some rocky periods for sure. High winds and rough seas are unavoidable on such a long oceanic cruise. One positive is that most cruise lines offer complimentary seasickness medication at guest services. Green apples and ginger are also widely regarded as natural remedies for seasickness symptoms. Gastrointestinal illnesses, or stomach bugs, were another concern, as they can easily spread in confined spaces on a ship. And I need not say more about COVID, other than there were cases on board during our crossing. I was relieved to see thorough cleaning and sanitation efforts around the Royal, and I did my best to avoid contracting any illnesses by religiously washing and sanitizing my hands everywhere I went, especially in the buffet and dining rooms. The key habit to develop, in my opinion, is to wash or sanitize your hands both before and after loading up your plate with food. This is because the serving utensils are handled by thousands of people each day, and it's likely at least a few passengers will be ill or coming down with something. Over the course of the trip, I was fortunate to remain healthy with only minor and brief stomach grumblings. Connectivity to the outside world is another important part to feeling at home on a ship. The downside here is that internet access does not come cheap, and despite having Starlink installed on the Royal, upload and download speeds were not great during my sailing. I didn't bother paying for internet except for one 24-hour period, and that alone cost me $20. I mostly relied on land-based free Wi-Fi while visiting our ports of call. Detaching from the virtual world for most of the cruise was freeing though, and at the risk of sounding a bit cliche, it allowed me to be more present, focused, and open to the many joys of my adventure, big and small. And saving a few $100s on a costly internet package felt pretty good too. Okay, I've covered a lot about the cruise, so let's now get into the details of how I nailed a 26-night voyage on a luxurious princess ship for just over $1,000. Earlier this year, I started searching for long cruises all over the world on Expedia.com. Their cruise booking site has a familiar, easy-to-use interface with all sorts of helpful filters, allowing for both flexible and narrow search parameters. I had maximum flexibility with schedules and itineraries, so for months, I patiently searched and waited for significant last-minute price drops. Sure enough, about 2 weeks before departure, the transpacific crossing on the Royal Princess popped up with total fares coming to about $1,350. I then went to a website called Cruise Compete, which, as the name suggests, allows companies and travel agents to compete for the best cruise offer. I entered my contact information and cruise details, and I noted that I was specifically looking for an offer that would beat Expedia's listed price. In less than 24 hours, I received an offer from a small cruise travel agency called Cabin Closeout Store. The total quoted price was $1,084. Over the next few days, I kept in touch with my assigned travel agent over email, and when I was ready to proceed with the booking, she then informed me the price had dropped, resulting in a total non-refundable cost of $1,010, taxes and fees included. Any amount below $40 per day on a cruise is very hard to come by, so I snatched up the deal and paid in full with my credit card using an online booking form provided by the agent. Shortly thereafter, both the agency and Princess Cruises sent me confirmation emails. And just like that, I was booked for a wildly affordable repositioning cruise from Seattle to Sydney. To top it all off, like I mentioned earlier, I was given a complimentary upgrade from an interior room to my Deluxe obstructed balcony stateroom. As with any cruise, add-ons can significantly jack up the total cost before and during a voyage, including alcoholic beverages and sodas, specialty dining, internet, photo purchases, dry cleaning and other laundry services, organized shore excursions, spa treatments, and much more. I chose to go without most of these, but crew appreciation was automatically deducted daily on my account. These gratuities were charged at $16 per day, so that amounted to $400 for the entire cruise, which I'd argue was well deserved by a number of the crew who looked after me. As a qualifying shareholder in the Carnival Group, which owns Princess Cruises, I received the benefit of $250 in onboard credit. Therefore, with gratuities and charges for a day of internet use and a few laundry tokens, my final onboard bill came to $170. All right, let's conclude with some useful tips that will help you find the best cruise deals and maximize your value for money on a future vacation at sea. First, be as flexible with your preferred cruise line, destinations, and travel dates as possible. If you can take advantage of wildly attractive last-minute deals, definitely go for it. Repositioning cruises can be some of the most affordable out there. For example, just take a look at what's available right now for these transatlantic voyages. The major lines often dramatically lower prices on available cabins, weeks, or even days before a ship departs. So if you've got a few months of flexibility, start your initial searches on Expedia or your preferred cruise booking site early and check back often. Some websites, such as the ones listed here, even allow you to set up alerts so you can be notified when prices drop for your specified cruise. On the other hand, if you are limited to specific dates and departure ports for a future vacation, I'd recommend booking as early as possible. Ironically, Princess Cruises recently announced that they would be reserving their very best fares for customers who book early, meaning more than a year in advance, rather than those who book at the last minute like I did. Keep in mind that booking websites typically show you the base fare per person, so always check the detailed fare breakdown to see what taxes and fees will be tacked on at the time of booking. Also, if you're planning to cruise solo like I did, double-check the total price to make sure you're not paying a costly solo supplement for the stateroom. Next, once you've found your preferred cruise at a good price, don't book right away. Compare offers first. Check what perks and discounts can be provided by travel agents on sites like Cruise Compete. There are special booking incentives that can be provided by some sites that you can't find on others, such as free Wi-Fi packages, free drinks packages, and hundreds of dollars in onboard credit. Here's another tip. Whatever add-ons you want to buy for your cruise, make sure to do the math behind what you're purchasing. Cruise lines can make all sorts of package deals look attractive with best value guarantees, but they could end up becoming a massive waste of money. For example, let's say you paid a total of $500 for an unlimited drinks package and then only consumed 10 beers, 3 premium coffees, and a cocktail during your entire cruise. You likely would have saved $400 by avoiding the drinks package altogether and simply paying full price for each drink on board. Finally, remember to calculate gratuities for you and everyone traveling with you. Most cruise lines charge automatic gratuities daily on a cruise, so expect to pay at least $16 per day per person. That means for a family of 4 traveling on a 15-night cruise, the onboard bill will come to about $1,000 just for onboard crew appreciation charges. In short, if you're on a budget, plan early, be flexible, check fares often, compare offers across multiple sites and travel agents, calculate all cruise expenses in advance, and carefully monitor any and all onboard spending. Well, that wraps up this cruise talk. I hope you found this video to be both intriguing and helpful. If you have experiences or additional tips that you'd like to share from your cruise vacations, please do leave a comment down below. Questions or clarifications are also more than welcome. Finally, feel free to follow me on Instagram and Facebook as I post plenty of updates and photos from my travels on social media. Wherever your future global adventures lead, I wish you and your loved ones many happy trails and smooth seas ahead. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,